Climate change is the issue of our time, hard to predict and even harder to persuade people and companies to act to stop global warming, despite the efforts of activists like Greta Thunberg. The United Nations has its work cut out at its 25th annual climate conference in Madrid, taking place this week. With dire warnings from scientists on one side, but political apathy on the other, how should investors respond? Let's ask today's cool heads.
We will be leaving the EU.
America is winning again.
Do not waste this time.
Hello, I'm joined in the studio by Ned Salter, Head of Equities, and Velislava Dimitrova, who runs climate portfolios. Welcome to you both. Ned, let me start with you. Climate change is such a broad topic. Where should investors start?
Well, I think the first thing to say is it's my opinion that we're not actually, as investors, doing enough. When we think about the carbon emissions of our portfolios, the starting position is always, how do our portfolios measure up relative to a benchmark? And to be perfectly candid with you, that's not good enough for us. That's not good enough for the climate, because ultimately, relative to a benchmark isn't going to help us improve.
So, to be precise, what should people be measuring their investments against?
Well, one of the things that Velislava and I have been thinking about is how do we think about carbon emissions in terms of climate pathways. And what I mean by that is, what kind of outcomes do we see for society?
Okay, I think you've got a slide to show us now. Take me through what this means.
Sure. So the first slide illustrates the current climate pathway that we are on post-industrialization, and we're looking at degrees change in temperature. Well, the governments and companies around the world have made some pledges, and if we enact and hold those pledges true, we will deliver a better pathway, 2 to 3 degrees Celsius, still not great.
And what are we aiming for?
Well, ideally, as was agreed in the Paris Accord, we would deliver something more akin to 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius, and that would be the best-in-class situation.
Velislava, let me come to you. How is what you do different to what Ned was warning us against?
I'm investing in those technologies that will help power the transition to get us closer to the 1.5 degrees Celsius warming.
So those are the opportunities. Are there any other opportunities that you think in this way of thinking about investing?
I believe that this transition will affect every area of human life. I believe that it will disintermediate many business models, but will create very long pathway of growth for a lot of technologies and a lot of companies. And these opportunities are along the full value chain of technologies with lower carbon footprint than legacy technologies. And I see those opportunities broadly in 5 areas. These are transportation, power, industry, buildings and consumer. In transportation, we have things like electric vehicles and autonomous vehicles or ride-sharing platforms. In power, we have renewables and the smart grid. In consumer, we have, these are more trends powered by changing consumer behaviors and attitudes, particularly the younger generation. And these are things like second-hand goods or reusable recycling or alternative meat and milk, e-health, e-work.
Ned, how optimistic are you that the conference, the UN conference this week, will achieve the path that is required?
So I'm cautiously optimistic, I would say, if that's an answer I can give. I think ultimately it's great to have investors like Velislava and Fidelity's clients who are pushing for this kind of change to be able to deploy capital to power the change, but ultimately we are going to need regulatory support and we're going to need guidance from governments around the world.
Okay, thank you both very much indeed. Today's cool heads, Ned Salter and Velislava Dimitrova. Until next time, thank you for watching and goodbye.